I'm Katja Veirto from Akava. At first, I want to thank you. You had so many interesting and inspiring presentations. They were all very, very, very good. And I think that many of the questions you raised are so crucial in Finland right now. And I got also very new ideas and new thoughts. And I think that is very, very important. For example, Anna talked much about women's pensions, and you got very interesting points. And we are nearby future talking about our survivors' pension system, and there were very, very interesting ideas, and I think that we're gonna talk about much more about those. But on my comments, I'm gonna focus on Finnish perspective and how Finnish system has prepared to challenges and what is most important to do next. And at very first, I want to start some of the basic principles in our pension system, which I know that all the Finnish participants here find very, very familiar. But it's also good to get back to those. Because I honestly think that our basic principles are very strong and they are good bases facing the future and the challenges also. Starting about unemployment, it's a very serious problem, and in many ways it affects length of your career and level of your pension. So it's very good that in Finland pension system doesn't prevent labor mobility. It's sometimes maybe a little bit hard to believe, but in Finland we actually have very simple pension rules. They are basically same for everyone. So no matter what job you have, pension rules are the same. So it's a very good principle. There's also hardly any differences in private and public sector pension. And we know this isn't so common in other European countries. And right now they are in France, they are talking about this. Was it like 35 different pension systems, how to combine all this? It's a huge challenge. But in Finland we have a better situation in that point of view. So in some countries pension can even be obstacle for healthy labor mobility, and in Finland it's good that we don't have that problem. Anna told about also level of pension, and that is something we need to focus on future. But it's good that in Finland unemployment periods are insured at least partly. Maybe not enough, but at least partly. Then thinking of preventing poverty, we have there also very good principles. They are not tackling all the problems concerning, for example migrants, but very, very good principles. You can say that it covers every employee and whole population. And it's very important that we have compulsory pension system also for entrepreneurs. That is something which I didn't hear you talked about so much, but it's important point. And it's also a good feature that there are actually little choices you can make in Finland. There was from the last presentation there were problems with voluntary savings, and they are true. That's true. But in Finland, it is so that you really don't have to think about pension savings because it's done automatically, actually. So So it's good that we have a good wide pension system that creates stability to whole society. And because I come from the labor market organization, I want to say that it's good and it's a strength. We have a pension system that has been developed and will be developed in tripartite phases. I think that the pensions are way too important and the changes affect way too long so that they could change directions very quickly. So after every election, we really need continuity, and that is what tripartite model gives the pension system. And I can say that social partners are also very aware of the changes in working life. So we have very much challenges, yes we have of course, but it's good that we have some strong and simple principles that make good basis. I'm also quite optimistic. Many news about working life are very negative and we can easily think that things are getting worse and worse. I think that Hannu maybe meant something about this when he asked about the statistics about working life. Everything isn't changing, actually. And bad news from the working life, there really isn't the whole truth. Actually, many things are better than what they have ever been. I think that in Finland, most workers actually have more opportunities to develop their skills and also develop their working place better than before. And this is also great possibilities. And maybe it's also a part of the policy what we have made to make working life better. This is something we heard from Dirk's presentation. I'm also very optimistic because we have also very much research data to use to develop our working life. And I have to say that Finnish Centre of Pensions has made a great work with this. So thank you Mikko and Susan and Nora and everybody else about this work. It's very crucial. Then the challenges. I agree that there are many of them. I would say that main concern for Finnish pension policy right now comes from how we can take care of our working life so that people are willing and are able to work longer. As you know, we made this big pension reform which took in place this year. And part of that reform was that the retirement ages are higher than before. It was a very difficult solution. And we have also minimized almost every early exit routes. And the big reason for these reforms was that we wanted to make more sustainable pension system in economically. And that is of course a good thing, good to think about, but it's of course a challenge. And you can actually say that we have almost used all the tools in pension legislation making working careers longer. And now we have to think more widely. It's a fact that more educated people, they work longer, but many blue-collar workers have problems and disability pensions are still too common. So we have to keep in mind that also very traditional health and safety issues are still important. You can't neglect them. And you can't speak enough of importance of lifelong learning in every education level. So working life has changed and many changes have been to good direction. But there is much uncertainty. For example, right now public sector in Finland faces many changes and in future more people in healthcare services are working in private sector. Everybody in Finland knows sote. Everybody is talking about this big healthcare reform. And it's a fact that in private sector it's more rare to continue working than it is in public sector. So we need more actions to private sector elderly employees. Also, amount of self-employed persons is growing in Finland and all across Europe, and many of them are also Akava's members. So we have to make sure that pension insurance and whole our social security works also for them. And then returning to economical sustainable pension system, we have to do something to our family policy. We really need to focus on that. I was quite shocked actually that our fertility rate has dropped so much. It's a huge challenge. And the only conclusion from that is that family-friendly working life is worthwhile investing. I was very happy about our government's decision that the daycare fees are dropping now, so it's a good decision. So focusing on better working life and family policy makes good pension policy in Finland, and I think that this seminar is a very good place to continue proper discussion on these issues.